Dr. Jinwoo Kim walked slowly through the busy streets of New Terra City. A small dragon sat quietly in his arms like a sick cat. The little creature's blue scales looked dull and lifeless. Spark had not eaten anything for 3 days. The dragon's tiny chest moved up and down with weak breathing. Jinwoo felt worried. He had found Spark as a baby dragon 2 years ago during his research work. The little dragon was no bigger than his hand back then. Now Spark was about the size of a house. Cat, but still very small for a dragon. Most dragons in the old Earth stories were huge monsters that could destroy cities. Spark could barely light a small fire to warm up food. People on the streets stared at them as they walked past. Some humans smiled and waved at the cute dragon. But the alien creatures living on New Terra looked at Spark with strange expressions. A few tall gray aliens made clicking sounds that seemed like laughter. A group of blue-skinned merchants pointed at the dragon and whispered to each other. Jinwoo tried not to listen to their comments. He knew what they were thinking. Earth dragons were considered weak compared to the powerful creatures from other worlds. The galaxy had many species with strong animals that could fight wars or carry heavy loads. Earth dragons seemed useless. To most aliens, the veterinary clinic sat at the end of Medical District. The building was made of smooth white metal that reflected the morning sun. Large signs in many different languages showed that this was the best animal hospital on New Terra. Dr. Zethmar, the head veterinarian, is famous across 3 star systems for his skill in treating alien creatures. Jinwoo pushed open the glass doors and walked into the waiting area. The room was filled with the strangest collection of animals he had ever seen. A purple creature with 6 legs sat next to its owner, a tall, insect-like alien. A floating jellyfish-type animal drifted in a water tank, carried by a robot. Strange sounds and smells filled the air. The receptionist was a young Vorthok female with large compound eyes and green shell-like skin. She looked at Jinwoo and Spark with mild interest. Her mandibles clicked as she spoke through a translation device on her desk. Human Dr. Kim, you have appointment for small dragon treatment? Please wait in sitting area. Dr. Zethmar will. See you soon. Jinwoo found an empty chair near the window. Spock shifted in his arms and made a soft whimpering sound. The dragon's small golden eyes looked up at him with trust and pain. Jinwoo gently stroked the tiny creature's head. Spark's scales felt warm, but not as warm as they should be. 20 minutes passed before a nurse called them into the examination room. The room was large and filled with medical equipment that Jinwoo did not recognize. Strange blue light scanned the air. Metal arms hung from the ceiling with various tools attached. Everything looked very advanced and expensive. Dr. Zethmar entered the room with heavy footsteps. He was enormous, even for a Vorthok. His body was covered in dark green shell plates. 4 arms moved independently as he prepared his tools. His compound eyes focused on Spark with what looked like amusement. So this is famous Earth Dragon, Dr. Zethmar said through his translator. His voice was deep and buzzing. I have heard much about these creatures from human colonists. They claim dragons are mighty beasts from ancient legends. Jinwoo placed Spark gently on the examination table. The little dragon tried to stand, but his legs were too weak. Spark collapsed onto his side with a small cry of distress. Dr. Zethmar moved closer and began his examination. His 4 hands moved over Spark's body with practiced skill. He used various scanning devices that beeped and hummed. After a few minutes, the doctor stepped back and made a sound that was clearly laughter. This creature is a pathetic specimen, Dr. Zethmar announced loudly. Earth dragons are weakest creatures in entire galaxy. Look at size, look at muscle development. My personal pet could defeat 10 of these dragons in combat. 2 nurse assistants in the room joined in the laughter. One was a tall alien with silver skin and no visible eyes. The other looked like a walking tree with many small branches for arms. They made various sounds that all seemed to be mocking Spark. Human mythology speaks of dragons breathing fire and flying through skies, Dr. Zethmar continued. This creature can barely produce small flame for cooking food. I've seen insects with more impressive abilities. Jinwoo felt his face getting hot with anger. Spark may be small, but he is still young. Dragons grow slowly and develop their abilities over time. Dr. Zethmar's mandibles clicked faster. Young. This creature is fully grown adult dragon. Earth dragons simply lack genetic strength of real predator species. On my homeworld, we breed hunting beasts in laboratories that are 100 times more powerful than this. The silver-skinned nurse picked up a small device and pointed it at Spark. Energy output is almost zero, she reported. Barely reaches 200 degrees. My cooking stove produces hotter fire. The tree-like nurse rustled his branches in what seemed like agreement. Physical strength measurement shows this creature weaker than average house pet. Bone density is below minimum standards for combat species. Dr. Zethmar picked up Spark with two of his hands. The little dragon was too weak to resist. The doctor held Spark up to the light and examined him like a broken toy. Perhaps humans should consider adopting real animals instead of these disappointing creatures, Dr. Zethmar suggested. There are many fine species available for purchase, strong animals that can actually protect their owners and serve useful purposes. Jinwoo reached out to take Spark back. What is wrong with him? Why is he so weak and tired? Dr. Zethmar handed Spark back with obvious disinterest. Simple malnutrition and lack of proper care. Dragons need specific minerals and proteins that humans probably cannot afford. Treatment is basic nutritional supplements and proper feeding. Schedule. The doctor moved to a cabinet and pulled out a small container of pills. Give creature 2 tablets daily with meals. Increase protein intake by 30%. Provide sunlight exposure for minimum 4 hours per day. Simple care that any competent owner should already know. Will he get stronger? Jinwoo asked while holding Spark protectively. Dr. Zethmar made another clicking laugh. Creature will return to normal pathetic health levels. Do not expect dramatic improvements. Earth dragons have natural limitations that cannot be overcome. Through medical treatment, the examination was over. Dr. Zethmar and his staff had made their opinions very clear. They saw Spark as nothing more than a disappointing pet owned by backward humans who believed in foolish legends. As they left the clinic, Jinwoo noticed something strange. Spark's golden eyes were glowing brighter than usual. The little dragon's head was turned back toward the clinic building. For just a moment, Jinwoo thought he saw intelligence in those eyes. Real intelligence, like Spark, had understood every insulting word spoken about him. But that was impossible. Dragons were just animals. Even if they came from old Earth stories, they could not understand complex language or feel emotions like anger or shame. Could they? 3 days passed since the terrible visit to the clinic. Spark was eating better now, thanks to the medicine Dr. Zethmar had given them. The little dragon could stand and walk around again. But Jinwoo still felt angry about how the alien doctor had treated them. Early morning sunlight was coming through the window when Jinwoo's communication device started beeping loudly. The screen showed an incoming call from Hiram Park. She was one of his closest friends and worked as an archaeologist on New Terra. Jinwoo, you need to come to the dig site right now, Hiram said. Her voice sounded excited and worried at the same time. I found something incredible. Something that might change everything we know about dragons. What kind of something? Jinwoo asked, while putting on his work clothes. I cannot explain over the communication system. Too dangerous if someone else hears. Just bring Spark and come quickly. Sector 7, the old ruins east of the city. The call ended before Jinwoo could ask more questions. He looked down at Spark, who was sitting on his bed. The little dragon seemed more alert today. His blue scales had some of their shine back. Want to go on a trip, little friend? Jinwoo asked. Spark made a happy chirping sound and jumped into the travel carrier that Jinwoo held out for him. The journey to Sector 7 took 1 hour by ground transport. The area was mostly empty desert with some old stone structures scattered around. Scientists had been studying these ruins for years but never found anything very important. Most people thought they were just leftover buildings from an ancient alien settlement. Jinwoo found Hiram standing near a large hole in the ground. She had set up portable lights around the area. Her excavation equipment was running scans and taking measurements. Several other human researchers were working nearby. You made good time, Hiram said when she saw him approaching. Okay, look at this. Discovery, she led him to the edge of the hole. The opening was about 10 feet wide and seemed to go deep underground. Metal steps had been attached to the sides so people could climb down safely. We broke through into a hidden chamber yesterday, Hiram explained. The structure is much older than anything else we have found on New Terra. Maybe 50,000 years old or more. They climbed down the steps into the underground chamber. The room was large and circular with smooth walls that seemed to be made of some kind of advanced metal. Strange symbols and pictures covered every surface. Portable. Lights made everything glow with an eerie blue color. These symbols are not from any known alien language, Hiram said, pointing at the wall carvings. But look at these pictures carefully. Jinwoo studied the images carved into the metal walls. His eyes grew wide with surprise. The pictures showed dragons. Not small dragons like Spark, but enormous creatures flying through space between stars. Some images showed dragons breathing what looked like pure energy that could cut through massive spaceships. This is impossible, Jinwoo whispered. Dragons breathing energy beams. Dragons flying in space without any protection? That is not the strangest part, Hiram said. She led him toward the center of the chamber. In the middle of the room sat a metallic sphere about the size of a basketball. The surface was covered with intricate patterns that seemed to move and shift when you looked at them closely. The sphere was floating 3 feet above the floor without any visible support. It started hovering when we first entered the chamber, Hiram explained. Our equipment cannot figure out how it stays in the air. No magnetic fields, no anti-gravity. Technology that we can detect. Dr. Minho Choi was kneeling next to the floating sphere with various scanning devices. He was a physicist who worked with the archaeological team to study any advanced technology they discovered. The energy readings are unlike anything in our databases, Minho said, without looking up from his instruments. The sphere seems to be waiting for something, like it is in standby mode. Jinwoo opened Spark's carrier to let the little dragon see the chamber. As soon as Spark emerged, something amazing happened. The sphere began to pulse with bright light. The carved symbols on the walls started glowing. Soft humming sound filled the air. Spark is causing this reaction, Hiram said with excitement. The chamber is responding to your dragon. Spark jumped out of his carrier and walked toward the floating sphere. The little dragon's scales began to shimmer with colors that Jin had never seen before. Gold, silver, and deep purple light rippled across Spark's body. Should we stop him? Minho asked nervously. Wait and see what happens, Hiram replied. This could be the discovery of a lifetime. Spark sat down directly under the sphere and looked up at it. The dragon made soft, chirping sounds that almost seemed like he was talking to the strange object. The sphere responded by spinning slowly and pulsing brighter. Suddenly, the sphere began to expand like a balloon being filled with air. The metal surface became transparent and swirling streams of light appeared inside. The balloon grew larger and larger until it was the size of a small room. Everyone step back, Minho shouted. I am reading massive energy buildup. But before anyone could move, the balloon exploded in a brilliant flash of light that filled the entire chamber. Jinwoo covered his eyes and expected to be thrown backward by the blast. Instead of destruction, something wonderful happened. The explosion released thousands of small glowing fragments that danced through the air like living snowflakes. Fragment contained moving pictures and streams of data that projected themselves as holograms around the chamber. My God, Hiram whispered. It is some kind of information storage device, a database. The holographic displays showed star maps, with travel routes between distant galaxies. Genetic sequences scrolled past faster than human eyes could follow. Historical records of civilizations that existed before any known species had reached space, but the most shocking images were of dragons. Massive dragons the size of battleships flying between stars. Dragons generating their own gravity fields to land on planets, dragons working together with humanoid figures to build incredible cities and space stations. Spark was glowing so brightly now that he looked like a small star, sitting on the chamber floor. The dragon's body was absorbing some of the data fragments. Each piece of information that touched Spark made his scales change color and pattern. "Look at this section," Minho called out. He was pointing at a cluster of holograms near the wall. "These records are specifically about Earth dragons. The dates show they are from before humans even existed on Earth." Hiram was recording everything with her equipment to suggest that dragons were in space thousands of years before humans developed civilization. But how is that possible? More information kept flowing from the exploded balloon device. Technical specifications for faster-than-light travel using biological energy, communication systems that worked instantly across unlimited distances, weapons that could destroy entire solar systems with focused stellar energy. This is not just a historical record, Jinwoo realized. This is an instruction manual. Someone left this information here for dragons to find. The data fragments were beginning to fade as the ancient device used up its stored energy. But before the last hologram disappeared, one final image appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a dragon that looked exactly like Spark, but full-grown to enormous size. Next to the dragon stood a human figure that could have been Jinwoo himself. The image lasted only a few seconds before everything went dark. The chamber returned to its original state, with only their portable lights providing illumination. The sphere was gone, completely dissolved by the explosion. Spark had stopped glowing, but his scales now had permanent new colors that shifted like liquid metal. The little dragon looked up at Jinwoo with eyes that seemed much more intelligent than before. "What just happened here?" Minho asked in a shaky voice. "I think," Hiram said slowly, "we just discovered that everything we know about dragons is completely wrong." Spark chirped once and walked back to his carrier. But Jinwoo noticed that the dragon's footsteps left small scorch marks on the metal floor. Whatever had happened in this chamber, Spark was no longer the same weak creature that Dr. Zethmar had mocked just 3 days ago. Something ancient and powerful was awakening inside the little dragon. And somehow, Jinwoo was connected to whatever was coming next. Dr. Suyang Lee arrived at the dig site the next morning with a team of computer specialists. She was the best data analyst on New Terra and had worked with ancient alien technology before. Her job was to decode all the information that had come from the exploded balloon device. "We managed to record about 60% of the data before it faded," Suyang explained to Jinwoo and Hiram. "What we found is going to shock the entire galaxy." They had set up a temporary research station inside the underground chamber. Multiple computer screens showed the recorded holographic data. Complex charts and diagrams filled every display. The information was so advanced that human computers could barely process it. "The balloon was not just a storage device," Suyang continued. "It was part of something called the Dragon Archives, a hidden database that has been waiting in space for over 50,000 years. Jinwoo was sitting with Spark in his lap. The little dragon had grown noticeably larger overnight. Spark was now the size of a medium dog, and his scales continued to shift colors in beautiful patterns. Electronic devices around Spark were acting strangely. Computer screens became brighter and clearer. Scanning equipment worked faster and more accurately. "What kind of information is in these archives?" Hiram asked. Suyang pulled up a star chart on the main screen. "This shows the location of hundreds of planets where dragons once lived, not just Earth but worlds across the entire galaxy. Dragons were everywhere thousands of years ago." The chart showed travel routes between star systems that were impossible with current technology. The dragons had somehow moved between distant galaxies as easily as humans traveled between cities. "Here is the most important discovery," Suyang said. She opened a file that made everyone gasp with surprise. Dragons were never native to Earth. They came from somewhere else in the galaxy. The screen showed genetic records that traced dragon evolution across millions of years. The creatures had started as simple animals on a planet called Draconum Prime. Over time, they had developed incredible abilities through natural evolution and advanced genetic engineering. Dragons became the most powerful species in Galactic history, Suyang explained. They could breathe in the vacuum of space. They generated their own gravity fields for faster-than-light travel. Their fire was actually concentrated stellar energy that could destroy entire battleships. Minho was studying the technical specifications with amazement. According to this data, a fully grown dragon could travel from one galaxy to another in just a few days. They did not need spaceships or any external technology. But why did they come to Earth? Jinwu asked. And why are they so small and weak now? Sui Yang opened another file that showed historical records from the ancient dragon empire. This is where the story becomes incredible. The dragons ruled a galactic empire that lasted for over 20,000 years. They had technology and abilities that made them like gods compared to other species. The screen displayed images of massive dragon cities floating in space, planets that had been completely reshaped by dragon engineering, space stations the size of small moons that served as breeding centers for dragon families. The empire was peaceful and advanced. Su Yang continued. Dragons were not conquerors. They were explorers and builders who helped other species develop their own civilizations. What happened to them? Iaram asked. They chose to end their empire voluntarily, Su Yang said quietly. The dragons had become so powerful that they were afraid of themselves. The archives showed that dragon technology had advanced to the point where they could manipulate space and time itself. They had developed weapons that could destroy entire star systems with a single blast. Some dragons had gained the ability to exist in multiple dimensions at the same time. The dragon leaders realized that their power was becoming dangerous, Su Yang explained. They were afraid that one mistake could destroy the fabric of reality itself, so they made an incredible decision. The screen showed records of the Great Reduction, a process where dragons voluntarily reduced their size and capabilities. Using advanced genetic engineering, they transformed themselves from godlike beings into small creatures that looked like mythological animals. The dragons spread themselves across thousands of worlds, Su Yang said. They went into a kind of hibernation, waiting for the right time to awaken their true abilities again. But why Earth specifically? Jinwu asked, while stroking Sparks. Head Su Yang smiled and opened the final section of data, because they were waiting for humanity. The screen showed detailed studies of human psychology and behavior that had been conducted thousands of years before humans had even developed written language. The dragons had somehow predicted the rise of human civilization with incredible accuracy. Dragons discovered that humans have a unique ability that even the ancient dragons lacked, Su Yang explained. Humans can form emotional bonds that create something called psychic resonance. The data showed that when a human and dragon formed a genuine emotional connection, it created a stabilizing effect on dragon power. The dangerous abilities that had once threatened to tear apart spacetime could be safely controlled through this human-dragon partnership. Humans are not just dragon partners, Su Yang said with excitement. Humans are the key that allows dragons to return to their full power without destroying the galaxy. Spark suddenly jumped down from Jinwu's lap and walked to the center of the chamber. The dragon sat down and began to glow with soft golden light.
All the
computer equipment in the room started working better than it had ever worked before. Spark is responding to the information, Minho observed. The dragon is beginning to remember what he really is. For the next few hours, they studied more of the archives. The data revealed that dragons had been slowly awakening on human worlds for the past few decades. Most humans thought they were just finding unusual animals or discovering new species. They had no idea they were actually adopting members of an ancient galactic empire. How many dragons are there on human worlds? Hiram asked. The archives suggest there are several hundred, Su Yang replied. Most are still in their reduced form, waiting for the right conditions to begin awakening. What are the right conditions? Jinwu asked. Emotional trauma or strong protective instincts, Su Yang said. Dragons awaken when they need to protect their human partners or when they experience intense emotions. Jinwu thought about what had happened at the veterinary clinic. Dr. Zethmar had insulted and humiliated Spark in front of everyone. That emotional experience might have triggered the awakening process. There is one more thing, Su Yang said seriously. The archives contain a warning. Other species in the galaxy have known about sleeping dragons for centuries. They've been working to prevent dragon awakening because they are afraid of dragon power returning. She showed them intercepted communications between various alien governments. The messages discussed Project Dragon Sleep and efforts to keep humans isolated from the rest of galactic civilization. The Galactic Council has been lying to humanity, Su Yang said. They tell us that humans are too primitive to join galactic society. but the real reason is that they are afraid of what will happen when humans and dragons work together. At that moment, Jinwoo's communication device started. Beeping with an urgent message, the display showed an incoming call from Dr. Zethmar at the veterinary clinic. Dr. Kim, the alien doctor's voice said through the translator, I have been thinking about your dragon. Perhaps I was too hasty in my diagnosis. I would like to examine the creature again, for the benefit of galactic science, of course. Jinwoo looked down at Spark, who was now clearly larger and more intelligent than he had been just a few days ago. The dragon's eyes met his, and Jinwoo felt a strange connection forming between them. It was like they could understand each other's thoughts and feelings. I think Dr. Zethmar suspects that something is happening with Spark, Jinwoo said to the others. Then we need to be very careful, Hiram warned. If the Galactic Council finds out about Dragon Awakening, they might try to stop it, but it was too late to hide what was happening. News of the archaeological discovery was already spreading through the human colonies. Other dragon owners were reporting strange behavior from their pets. Some dragons had grown larger overnight, others were demonstrating abilities that seemed impossible. The age of sleeping dragons was coming to an end, and with it, humanity's place in the galaxy was about to change forever. 2 days after Dr. Zethmar's suspicious phone call, 3 large ships landed at the New Terra spaceport. The vessels carried officials from the Galactic Council and teams of alien scientists. Word about the archaeological discovery had spread. Faster than anyone expected, Jinwoo received an official message that morning demanding he bring Spark to the main government building for examination. The message was signed by 5 different alien species representatives. They claimed that any potentially dangerous creature should be studied in proper facilities for the safety of all colonists. They cannot force you to hand over Spark, Hiram said as they met at the dig site. Human colonial law protects pet ownership rights, but they can make life very difficult for us, Minho replied. The Galactic Council controls trade routes and supply shipments to human colonies. They have ways to pressure us without breaking any laws. Spark had continued growing over the past few days. The dragon was now the size of a large dog and showed signs of intelligence that amazed everyone. Spark could understand complex conversations and seemed to respond to human emotions. When Jinwoo felt worried, Spark would come over and nuzzle against him for comfort. Dr. Suyang had been working around the clock to decode more information from the Dragon archives. Her latest discoveries were disturbing. The archives contained records of previous attempts by alien species to study dragons without human partners. Every experiment failed, Suyang explained to the group. Dragons separated from their human partners become unstable and dangerous. Some alien governments have been secretly capturing dragon eggs from Earth for decades. All of those dragons died, or had to be destroyed. Why did the experiments fail? Jinwoo asked. Dragons need the emotional connection with humans to control their power, Suyang said. Without that bond, their abilities become chaotic and destructive. The aliens do not understand that dragons are not just powerful animals. They are intelligent beings who require emotional partnerships to function properly. At noon, Dr. Zethmar arrived at the dig site with a team of alien security officers. The Vorthok doctor looked different than he had at the clinic. His movements were more aggressive, and his compound eyes focused on Spark with obvious hunger. Kim, Zethmar said through his translator. You must surrender the dragon immediately. The Galactic Council has declared all awakening dragons to be potential threats to colonial safety. Spark is not a threat, Jinwoo replied firmly. He is my companion and has never hurt anyone. The creature has demonstrated abilities beyond normal parameters, Zethmar insisted. Our sensors detect energy emissions that could be dangerous if they continue to increase. The security officers moved closer, carrying strange devices that looked like capture nets made of energy. Spark noticed the threat and moved to stand between Jinwoo and the aliens. The dragon's scales began to glow with warning colors. Stand aside, human, one of the security officers commanded. We have authorization to use force if necessary. You have no authority over human citizens or their property, Hiram said angrily. This is a human archaeological site on human colonial territory. Dr. Zethmar clicked his mandibles in what might have been laughter. Colonial treaties give the Galactic Council emergency powers when dangerous creatures are involved. Your Earth dragons fall under those regulations. The lead security officer raised his capture device and aimed it at Spark. The weapon began to charge with crackling energy. Spark saw the threat and reacted instantly. What happened next shocked everyone. Spark's body erupted with brilliant light that filled the entire underground chamber. The dragon, now glowing like a small star, released a pulse of electromagnetic energy that spread outward in all directions. All the alien equipment stopped working immediately. The capture weapons powered down with defeated whining sounds. The translator devices went silent. Even the aliens' protective suits began to malfunction. But the human equipment not only continued working, it began working better than ever before. Su Yang's computers started processing data at impossible speeds. Minho's scientific instruments began detecting particles and energy fields that should have been beyond their capabilities. Impossible, Dr. Zethmar said in his own language, no longer able to use his translator. The creature is selectively affecting technology based on species origin. Spark had grown again during the energy release. The dragon was now the size of a small horse with scales that shifted like liquid starlight. But more importantly, Spark's eyes showed unmistakable intelligence and awareness. The dragon turned toward Dr. Zethmar and spoke. Not with sounds, but directly into everyone's minds through telepathic communication. You mocked me when I was weak and small, Spark's mental voice said calmly. You called me pathetic and worthless. You suggested that my human partner should abandon me for a stronger creature. Dr. Zethmar stumbled backward in fear. The other aliens looked around wildly, unable to understand how a creature they considered a simple animal was speaking to them. I remember everything, Spark continued. I remember when my people ruled the stars. I remember choosing to become small and weak so that we would not destroy the galaxy with our power. I remember waiting thousands of years for the right species to help us return safely. Spark walked slowly toward the aliens, his footsteps leaving glowing marks on the metal floor. Chamber temperature began to rise as the dragon's body generated heat that had nothing to do with normal fire. Humans are that species, Spark said. They have the emotional capacity to bond with us and help us control abilities that you cannot even imagine. Without human partners, we are indeed dangerous. With them, we become something greater than. Either species could be alone. Security officers tried to retreat. Their equipment was still not working. Dr. Zethmar was clicking his mandibles frantically, trying to call for backup that could not hear him. You will leave this place, Spark commanded. You will tell your Galactic Council that the age of sleeping dragons is over. Humanity and dragons will take our place in the galaxy together, whether you approve or not. Wait, Jinwoo said, placing his hand on Spark's glowing side. Do not hurt them. Show them that we are not the threat they fear. Spark's angry energy calmed at Jinwoo's touch. The dragon's glow faded to a warm golden light that felt peaceful instead of threatening. My human partner speaks wisdom, Spark said to the aliens. We do not seek revenge for your mockery or punishment for your fear. We offer partnership and cooperation, as our ancestors did long ago. Dr. Zethmar found his voice, speaking in broken human language without his translator. How many of you are there? How many dragons are awakening? Hundreds, Spark replied. All across human space, my people are remembering who we truly are. And each awakening dragon is bonded to a human partner who helps them control abilities that once threatened to tear apart reality itself. Yang was recording everything with equipment that was working far beyond its normal capacity. The archives are updating themselves, she reported with excitement. New information is being added in real time. What information? Hiram asked. Communication signals from other awakening dragons, Su Yang said. They are all connected. Somehow, Spark's awakening is triggering responses from dragons across the galaxy. The implications were staggering. If hundreds of dragons were awakening simultaneously, and each one had capabilities like Spark was demonstrating, then the balance of power in the galaxy was about to shift dramatically. Dr. Zethmar and his security team finally managed to retreat from the chamber when their equipment partially restored itself. But as they left, Zethmar turned back to look at Spark one more time. The Galactic Council will not accept this change easily, the alien doctor warned. There will be consequences for your awakening. Spark's response was calm but firm. Then, the Galactic Council will learn what our ancestors learned long ago. Evolution cannot be stopped, only guided in the right direction. As the aliens left, Jinwoo felt the bond between himself and Spark growing stronger. He could sense the dragon's thoughts and emotions more clearly, and more importantly, he could feel connections forming to other human-dragon partnerships across the galaxy. The sleeping dragons were awakening, and humanity was about to discover its true destiny among the stars. 1 week after Spark's dramatic awakening, reports started coming in from human colonies across the galaxy. Dragons everywhere were growing larger and demonstrating incredible abilities. On the farming world of New Eden, a dragon named Thunder helped his human partner move massive boulders using only his mind. On the mining planet Kepler-7, a dragon called Flame created perfect tunnels through solid rock by breathing controlled energy beams. But with each awakening came pressure from alien governments. Trade shipments to human colonies were being delayed, communication signals were being blocked. Several human diplomats reported that alien species were becoming hostile during normal business meetings. Agent Tae-young-yoon arrived at New Terra on a secret intelligence mission. He worked for human colonial intelligence and had been investigating suspicious alien activities for months. His news was disturbing. The Galactic Council has been lying to humanity for over 200 years, Tae-young told Jinwoo and his team. During a private meeting, "We are not newcomers to galactic civilization. We are the species they have been most afraid of." Tae-young showed them classified documents that he had stolen from alien government databases. The files revealed decades of secret meetings and classified research projects. Project Dragon Sleep has been active since humans first left Earth, Tae-young explained. Every time human explorers found dragon eggs or baby dragons, alien agents would monitor the situation. If dragons showed signs of awakening, the aliens would intervene. "What kind of intervention?" Hyeram asked. Mostly Tae-young replied. They would contaminate food supplies to keep dragons weak. They would spread false information about dragon care to prevent proper bonding. Sometimes they would steal dragon eggs and destroy them. Spock, who was now the size of a large horse, with magnificent scales that changed color like flowing water, listened to every word. The dragon's intelligence had grown along with his size. Spark could understand complex political discussions and often provided insights that surprised the human researchers. "My people suspected this was happening," Spark said through telepathic communication. "But we were too weak in our reduced state to investigate properly. Now that we are awakening, the truth becomes clear." Goddess Su-young had been working with Dr. Yoonji Nam, a xenopsychologist who specialized in understanding alien behavior patterns. Together, they had made breakthrough discoveries about the human-dragon bond. The emotional connection between humans and dragons creates quantum entanglement at the cellular level, Yoonji explained. When a human and dragon truly care for each other, their brain patterns synchronize. This synchronization allows dragons to access their full power without losing control. "Why is this ability unique to humans?" Jinwoo asked. "Most alien species have limited emotional range compared to humans," Yoonji said. The Vorthok, for example, experience only basic emotions like hunger, fear, and territorial aggression. They cannot form the deep emotional bonds that dragons require. Su-yang pulled up new data from the dragon archives. The ancient dragons tried to partner with other species before they found humans. Every attempt failed because other species could not provide the emotional stability that dragons needed. The archives showed records of dragon partnerships with dozens of alien races over thousands of years. Crystalline beings of Altair could think faster than dragons, but had no emotions at all. The Silicon warriors of Proxima were incredibly brave, but could only feel anger and pride. The energy dancers of Vega were highly empathetic, but could not form lasting relationships. Humans are the only species that combines intelligence, emotion, creativity, and loyalty in the right proportions, Yoonji said. That is why the dragons chose Earth as their hiding place. Tae-young showed them more stolen intelligence files. The alien governments know all of this. They have been studying human psychology for centuries, trying to understand what makes us different. Some alien species have tried to genetically modify themselves to bond with dragons, but every experiment failed. What happened to those experiments? Hiram asked. The modified aliens either died during the bonding process or went insane from the mental strain, Tae-young said grimly. Dragon bonding requires genuine emotion, not artificially created feelings. At that moment, alarms started ringing throughout the research facility. Emergency broadcasts filled the communication channels with urgent warnings. "This is Colonial Command," a voice announced. "All citizens should remain in secure locations. Unknown vessels have entered New Terra airspace without authorization." Through the chamber's viewing portal, they could see massive alien warships descending from orbit. The ships were larger than anything in the human fleet, with weapons that could destroy entire cities. "They are not here to negotiate," Spark said. With calm certainty, the Galactic Council has decided to end Dragon Awakening by force. Tae-young was monitoring military communications on his portable device. "I am receiving reports from other human colonies. Alien fleets are arriving at every world where dragons have awakened. This is a coordinated attack." Dr. Zethmar's voice suddenly filled the chamber through the facility's communication system. Somehow, the alien doctor had gained access to their private channels. Dr. Kim Zethmar said with obvious satisfaction, "You and your dragon will surrender immediately. The Galactic Council has authorized emergency measures to contain the dragon threat." "What threat?" Jinwoo replied angrily. "Spark has not hurt anyone. The awakening dragons are helping their human partners, not attacking anyone." "The threat of change," Zethmar said honestly. "For thousands of years, the galaxy has been stable. Under current leadership, Dragon Awakening threatens that stability. Humans with dragon partners would become too powerful to control." Spark's scales began to glow with increasing intensity, so the truth emerges at last. "You do not fear that we will harm others. You fear that we will no longer obey your authority?" "Exactly," Zethmar admitted. "The current galactic order serves the interests of established species. Humans are useful as workers and soldiers, but only when they remain dependent on alien technology and guidance." More information was coming through Tae-young's intelligence channels. Human colonies were reporting that alien peacekeeping forces were demanding the surrender of all dragons for protective custody. They are not just trying to stop Dragon Awakening, Tae-young realized. They want to capture awakened dragons for their own research. If they can figure out how to control dragon power without human partners, they could use dragons as weapons. Yoonji was monitoring brain activity readings from Spark during the conversation. Spark's mental patterns are changing. The dragon is connecting to something larger than just our local group. "What do you mean?" Jinwoo asked. "All awakening dragons are linked through quantum entanglement," Yoonji explained. "Spark is communicating with hundreds of other dragons across the galaxy. They are coordinating their response to this threat." Spark's glow suddenly intensified to the point where looking directly at the dragon became difficult. When the light faded, Spark had grown again. The dragon was now magnificent and terrible, with scales that seemed to contain entire galaxies of swirling stars. "The awakening accelerates," Spark announced. "My people across the galaxy are responding to the threat. Dragons, who would have taken months to reach full awakening, are transforming in hours." "Is that dangerous?" Jinwoo asked with concern. "Only to those who threaten us," Spark replied. "But you should know that rapid awakening means rapid change. For human partners as well. The bond between us will deepen quickly now." Jinwoo could already feel the changes beginning. His senses were becoming sharper. He could perceive energy fields around electronic devices. Most remarkably, he could sense the emotions and thoughts of other humans at greater distances. "The dragons are not the only ones evolving," Yoonji observed. "Human partners are developing enhanced abilities as well." Through the facility's sensors, they watched as more alien ships landed around the dig site. Thousands of armed soldiers were surrounding their position. The final confrontation between awakening dragons and the established galactic order was about to begin. But as threatening as the situation appeared, Jinwoo felt strangely calm. Through his bond with Spark, he could sense that something wonderful was happening across the galaxy. Humanity and dragons were becoming something new together, something that the old galactic order could not understand or control. The age of hiding and pretending was over. Now the galaxy would see what humans and dragons could accomplish when they worked as true partners. The siege of New Terra lasted 3 days. Alien forces surrounded every human settlement on the planet, demanding the surrender of all awakened dragons. But something unexpected happened during those 3 days. Instead of surrendering the human, colonies sent a message that shocked the entire galaxy. Admiral Dong Yun Kong, commander of the human colonial fleet, broadcast on all galactic communication channels. His message was simple but revolutionary. To all species of the Galactic Council, Admiral Kang announced, "Humanity rejects your demands. We will not surrender our dragon partners. We will not submit to your authority. From this day forward, humanity claims its rightful place as an independent galactic civilization." The response from alien governments was immediate and angry. Trade embargoes were declared. Diplomatic relations were severed. Several alien species threatened military action against all human colonies, but the aliens had made a critical mistake. They had given dragons across the galaxy time to complete their awakening, while human colonies prepared for the inevitable confrontation. On New Terra, Jinwoo stood beside Spark at the entrance to the underground chamber. The dragon was now magnificent. Beyond description, Spark's body was the size of an ancient earth dragon from mythology, with scales that contained swirling galaxies of light. The dragon's eyes held the wisdom of 50,000 years and the power to reshape reality itself. "You ready for what comes next?" Spark asked through their mental bond. "I trust you completely," Jinwoo replied. "Whatever happens, we face it together." Around them, the research team watched in amazement as other dragons arrived. Not physically, but through quantum teleportation that allowed them to appear instantly across vast distances. Within minutes, dozens of awakened dragons materialized in the chamber, each accompanied by their human partners. Dr. Hiram Park stood beside a dragon called Starweaver, whose scales looked like liquid silver. Dr. Minho Choi was bonded with a dragon named Voidwalker, who seemed to be made of concentrated starlight. Dr. Su-Yang Lee had partnered with a dragon called Dataforge, whose body pulsed with streams of living information. "The awakening is complete," Spark announced to the assembled group. "Dragons and humans are now united across the galaxy. The time for hiding is over." Outside the chamber, alien forces prepared for their final assault. Dr. Zethmar personally led a battalion of Vorthok soldiers equipped with the most advanced weapons in the galactic arsenal. Energy cannons that could melt through starship hulls. Gravity weapons that could crush entire buildings. Neural disruptors designed to break the mental bond between dragons and humans. "Today, we end this threat to galactic stability," Dr. Zethmar declared to his troops. "Today we prove that no species can challenge the established order." But when the alien forces attacked, they discovered that the rules of warfare had changed completely. Spark and the other dragons did not fight in any way that alien military doctrine could understand. Instead of breathing fire or using physical strength, the dragons created what could only be described as miracles. Spark touched the ground with one claw, and suddenly every human on New Terra could fly through the air as easily as walking. Starweaver sang a single note, and all human technology became 1,000 times more powerful than before. Voidwalker opened a portal in space that allowed humans to travel instantly between star systems without using spaceships. The transformation was not limited to New Terra. Reports flooded in from human colonies across the galaxy. On New Eden, humans were moving mountains to create better farmland in minutes instead of years. On Kepler 7, human miners were extracting rare minerals from the planet's core using only their enhanced senses. On Research Station Alpha Prime, human scientists were making discoveries that advanced their understanding of the universe by centuries. "This is impossible," Dr. Zethmar said, as he watched his weapons fail to affect the transformed humans. Energy beams simply passed through them harmlessly. Gravity weapons had no effect on people who could control gravity themselves. Neural disruptors could not break bonds that existed on a quantum level. Nothing is impossible when you understand the true nature of reality, Spark replied calmly. My people learned this lesson 50,000 years ago. We are not separate from the universe. We're part of it, and now so are our human partners. Alien attacks ceased as soldiers realized that their weapons were useless. But instead of pressing their advantage, the dragons did something that amazed everyone. They offered peace. We do not seek to rule the galaxy, Spark announced through galactic communication channels. We do not wish to punish those who opposed us. We offer partnership and cooperation to all species willing to learn and grow. Dr. Zethmar, his mandibles clicking with confusion, approached Spark cautiously. Why do you not destroy us? We have been your enemies for centuries. We have suppressed your people and tried to prevent your awakening, 'cause destruction solves nothing, Spark replied with infinite patience. Our ancestors learned that power without wisdom leads to catastrophe. We chose the path of reduction and waiting because we understood that true strength comes from cooperation, not domination. Jinwoo stepped forward to address Dr. Zethmar directly. We remember how you mocked Spark at your clinic. We remember how you called Earth dragons weak and pathetic. But we also remember that you are a healer who has helped countless creatures. That is the person we choose to see. Dr. Zethmar's compound eyes reflected emotions that Vorthok rarely showed. Something that might have been shame or perhaps wonder. I do not understand, the alien doctor admitted. How can you forgive such treatment? Because holding on to anger only hurts the one who carries it, Jinwoo explained. Spark taught me that true strength comes from love, not hatred. Over the following weeks, something unprecedented happened in galactic history. Instead of war between humans and aliens, there was transformation. Species that had never been able to form emotional bonds began learning from human examples. The crystalline beings discovered feelings for the first time. The silicon warriors learned that strength could come from protecting others instead of conquering them. Even the proud energy dancers found that working together produced more beautiful results than competing. Alone, Dr. Zethmar became one of the first non-humans to successfully form a partnership bond, though not with a dragon. The Vorthok doctor learned to work with a human empath named Dr. Ji Suhan, whose emotional abilities helped Zethmar understand the deeper meaning of healing. I spent my life believing that strength meant being superior to others, Dr. Zethmar said during a joint human-alien medical conference. Now I understand that true strength means helping others become their best selves. The Galactic Council dissolved itself and reformed as the Galactic Partnership, with representatives from all species working together as equals. Humans and dragons became guides and teachers, helping other species develop their own unique abilities and potential. Spark, now recognized as the first dragon of the New Age, established the Dragon Archives as a public resource available to all species. The knowledge of 50,000 years of galactic civilization became freely shared information that accelerated progress for everyone. Jinwoo continued his work as a xenobiologist, but now he studied cooperation and partnership between species rather than simple animal behavior. His research with Spark led to breakthrough discoveries about consciousness, evolution, and the quantum nature of emotional bonds. The little dragon who had once been mocked as weak and pathetic had become the catalyst for the greatest transformation in galactic history. But more importantly, Spark had shown that the universe was not a place where the strong dominated the weak, but a place where different strengths combined to create something greater than the sum of their parts. Years later, when young humans asked Jinwoo about the early days of Dragon Awakening, he would always tell them the same thing. Remember that everyone you meet has hidden potential waiting to be discovered. Treat others with kindness and respect, even when they seem small or different. You never know when someone you underestimate might change the entire galaxy. In the end, that was the most important lesson that humanity and dragons taught the universe together. The power to transform reality did not come from weapons or technology. It came from the simple decision to see the best in others and help them become everything they were meant to be.